Welcome to Current English, where we bring you engaging and informative listening content to improve your English skills. Today, we will explore the life and legacy of one of the most controversial and influential figures in modern history, Donald J. Trump. From his childhood and business empire to his presidency and lasting impact, we will take a deep dive into his journey. So sit back, relax, and listen carefully as we explore the story of Donald Trump. Donald Trump was born in New York City and graduated from the University of Pennsylvania in 1968 with a degree in economics. In 1971, he became the president of his family's real estate business, renamed it the Trump Organization, and started building skyscrapers, hotels, casinos, and golf courses. However, in the 1990s and 2000s, 6 of his businesses went bankrupt, so he started other side businesses. From 2004 to 2015, he was the host of the reality TV show The Apprentice. Even though he had never held a political job before, he ran for president in 2016 and won against Hillary Clinton. As president, Trump made several big decisions. He banned travel from some Muslim-majority countries, expanded the U.S.-Mexico border wall, and introduced a policy that separated families at the border. He cut taxes, removed business and environmental rules, and appointed 3 Supreme Court justices. In foreign policy, he pulled the U.S. out of international agreements, started a trade war with China, and met with North Korea's leader, Kim Jong-un, though they did not agree on denuclearization. When COVID-19 spread, Trump downplayed the virus, argued with health officials, but also approved financial aid for Americans. He was impeached twice, once in 2019 for abuse of power and once in 2021 for inciting the Capitol riot, but the Senate did not remove him from office. Many historians later ranked him as one of the worst U.S. presidents. Trump was known for spreading false information, making offensive comments, and promoting conspiracy theories. After losing the 2020 election to Joe Biden, he tried to change the results, leading to the January 6th Capitol attack. In 2023, he was found guilty of sexual abuse, defamation, and business fraud. In 2024, he was convicted of falsifying business records, making him the first U.S. president guilty of a felony. However, later that year, he won the 2024 election against Kamala Harris. A judge gave him a penalty-free sentence, and some of his legal cases were dropped. At the start of his second term, Trump pardoned about 1,500 people involved in the January 6th riot, fired many federal workers, and started a trade war with Mexico and Canada. His frequent executive orders led to many legal challenges. Early life and education. Donald John Trump was born on June 14, 1946, at Jamaica Hospital in Queens, New York City. He was the 4th child of Fred Trump and Mary Ann McLeod Trump. His family background was German and Scottish. Trump grew up with his older siblings, Mary Ann, Fred Jr., and Elizabeth, and his younger brother Robert, in a large house in the Jamaica Estates neighborhood of Queens. His father, Fred Trump, gave each of his children about $20,000 a year, which would be equal to $265,000 today. By modern standards, Trump was already a millionaire at age 8. As a child, Trump attended the private Q Forest School until 7th grade. He was known for being difficult and showed an early interest in his father's business. To teach him discipline, his father sent him to New York Military Academy, a private boarding school where he finished high school. Trump once thought about a career in show business, but instead, in 1964, he enrolled at Fordham University. After 2 years, he transferred to the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. He graduated in May 1968 with a degree in economics. During the Vietnam War, Trump did not join the military because he was exempted for having bone spurs in his heels. Trump officially joined his father's real estate company, Elizabeth Trump and Son, which focused on middle-class housing projects in Brooklyn and Queens. However, young Trump had much bigger ambitions. In 1971, he took control of the company and renamed it the Trump Organization. Instead of staying in the outer boroughs, he set his sights on Manhattan, where he saw greater opportunities for luxury real estate. One of his first major successes was the Grand Hyatt Hotel, a project that transformed a struggling hotel near Grand Central Terminal into a luxury property. This deal established his reputation as a bold and ambitious developer. He then went on to build some of the most iconic properties in New York, including Trump Tower, a 58-story skyscraper on Fifth Avenue, which became his headquarters and symbolized his brand of luxury and power. Throughout the 1980s and 1990s, Trump expanded his business empire, investing in casinos, golf courses, and resorts. He owned properties like Trump Plaza, Trump Taj Mahal, and Trump Marina in Atlantic City. However, not all his ventures were successful. He faced financial struggles in the 1990s, filing for bankruptcy multiple times due to poor investments and economic downturns. Despite these setbacks, Trump always managed to recover, often using media attention and branding strategies to rebuild his wealth. Apart from real estate, Trump became a media personality. His reality TV show, The Apprentice, which premiered in 2004, was a massive success. His catchphrase, "You're fired," became famous worldwide, further strengthening his public image as a tough and decisive businessman. Media career. Donald Trump has published 19 books under his name, but most of them were written or co-written by ghostwriters. His first book, The Art of the Deal, 1987, was a New York Times bestseller. The New Yorker said the book helped make Trump famous as a symbol of a successful businessman. The book was actually written by Tony Schwartz, who was listed as a co-author. Between 1985 and 2001, Trump made short appearances in movies and TV shows. In the 1990s, he was a guest 24 times on The Howard Stern Show. From 2004 to 2008, he had his own short radio show called Trumped, and from 2011 to 2015, he was a guest commentator on Fox and Friends. Trump was a member of SAG-AFTRA, a union for actors and media professionals, since 1989. In 2021, he quit the union to avoid being punished for his role in the January 6th Capitol attack. 2 days later, the union permanently banned him. TV producer Mark Burnett made Trump a TV star by creating The Apprentice, a show Trump hosted from 2004 to 2015, including a version called The Celebrity Apprentice. On the show, Trump played the role of a wealthy and powerful CEO who eliminated contestants with his famous catchphrase, "You're fired." The New York Times said the show made Trump look much more successful than he really was. For millions of viewers, the show changed Trump's public image. With licensing deals and other earnings, The Apprentice made him over $400 million. Early political aspirations. Trump has changed political parties several times. He became a Republican in 1987, joined the Independence Party in 1999, switched to Democrat in 2001, Republican again in 2009, became independent in 2011, and returned to the Republican Party in 2012. In 1987, Trump paid for full-page ads in major newspapers to share his opinions on foreign policy and the federal budget. In 1988, he asked Republican leaders if he could be George H.W. Bush's running mate for vice president, but Bush thought the idea was strange and unrealistic. In 2000, Trump ran for president in the Reform Party primaries, but dropped out after 3 months. In 2011, he thought about running against President Barack Obama in the 2012 election. He even gave political speeches and spoke at the Conservative Political Action Conference, CPAC. However, in May 2011, he announced that he would not run. 2016 presidential election, Donald Trump announced he was running for president in June 2015. By March 2016, he was leading among Republican candidates and became the party's expected nominee in May. During his campaign, many of his statements were unclear or false. He often criticized the media, saying they were unfair to him. Hillary Clinton was ahead in the polls for most of the campaign, but her lead got smaller in early July. In mid-July, Trump chose Mike Pence, the governor of Indiana, as his vice presidential running mate. They were officially nominated at the Republican National Convention. Trump and Clinton had 3 debates in September and October 2016. Trump sometimes refused to say if he would accept the election results if he lost. Trump called NATO outdated and supported policies that focused on staying out of other countries' affairs and protecting U.S. jobs. He wanted to change U.S. relations with China and trade deals like NAFTA, enforce immigration laws, and stop climate change regulations. He also wanted to improve veterans' services, replace the Affordable Care Act, end Common Core education standards, invest in infrastructure, simplify taxes, and tax companies that moved jobs overseas. He supported increasing military spending and strict checks or bans on immigrants from Muslim-majority countries. His plan to build a wall on the Mexico-U.S. border and make Mexico pay for it was very controversial. He also promised to deport millions of undocumented immigrants and criticized birthright citizenship. Some people said Trump used racist and sexist language to attract white voters. His campaign speech, where he said Mexican immigrants were bringing crime and drugs, caused NBC to fire him from the show Celebrity Apprentice. Trump reported having over $1.4 billion in assets and at least $315 million in debt. Unlike other major candidates, he did not release his tax returns, saying they were being audited, and his lawyers advised against it. In 2021, after a long legal fight, the Supreme Court allowed his tax records to be given to a prosecutor. In 2016, leaked documents showed Trump reported a $916 million loss in 1995, which might have allowed him to avoid paying taxes for up to 18 years. On November 8, 2016, Trump won the election with 306 electoral votes to Clinton's 232, though he lost the popular vote by nearly 2.9 million votes. He became the 5th president to win the electoral vote but lose the popular vote. Trump was the first president with no military or government experience. His win gave Republicans control of the presidency and Congress. His victory led to protests in many U.S. cities. First presidency, 2017 to 2021. Early actions. Donald Trump was sworn in as president on January 20, 2017. The day after his inauguration, millions of people protested against him in the women's marches, with around 500,000 in Washington, D.C. During his first week, Trump signed 6 executive orders, including starting the process to repeal the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, pulling out of the Trans-Pacific Partnership talks, and beginning plans for a wall on the U.S.-Mexico border. Conflicts of interest. Before becoming president, Trump moved his business interests into a trust, but still profited from them. He continued to expand his businesses overseas. Trump faced lawsuits for violating laws about foreign business dealings while in office. Domestic policy. Trump's presidency began during a long period of economic growth, but in 2020, the COVID-19 pandemic caused a recession. He signed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act in December 2017, which lowered taxes for businesses and individuals. However, government revenue dropped and the national debt increased. Trump also withdrew the U.S. from the Paris Agreement on climate change and rolled back many environmental protections. Trump's administration focused on reducing regulations in various areas, including health, labor, and the environment. He tried to weaken the Affordable Care Act and struggled to replace it. His response to the opioid epidemic was criticized for lacking a solid strategy. He also opposed abortion rights and rolled back LGBTQ protections in some areas. Race relations. Trump faced criticism for his comments after the 2017 Unite the Right rally, where he said there were very fine people on both sides of the violence, implying a moral equivalence between white supremacists and counter-protesters. He also made derogatory remarks about some countries and 4 minority congresswomen in 2019, which were widely condemned as racist. Pardons and commutations. Trump granted 237 pardons, but many were for people with personal connections to him or his allies. He granted pardons to several people involved in military crimes which caused controversy. Immigration. Trump focused heavily on stopping illegal immigration, describing it as an invasion. He reduced the number of refugees allowed into the country and pushed for a wall along the U.S.-Mexico border. His administration also separated families at the border, a policy that sparked widespread outrage. Foreign policy. Trump's America First policy often strained relationships with U.S. allies. He criticized NATO, supported populist leaders, and had a close relationship with Israel's prime minister. Trump also started a trade war with China, imposing tariffs to force China to change its trade practices. Trump met North Korean leader Kim Jong-un 3 times in an effort to denuclearize North Korea, but no major agreements were reached. Personnel. Trump had a high turnover rate in his administration. Many of his top officials resigned or were fired during his first year in office. He had 4 chiefs of staff and publicly criticized former aides. Some cabinet members left because of scandals, including misuse of government resources. Judiciary. Trump appointed 226 federal judges, including 3 Supreme Court justices, which shifted the court to the right. He often criticized judges who disagreed with him. COVID-19 pandemic. Trump's response to the pandemic was widely criticized for being slow and inadequate. He signed a $2.2 trillion economic stimulus bill, but faced criticism for not doing enough to prevent the spread of the virus. Trump also encouraged anti-lockdown protests and promoted unproven treatments for COVID-19. Investigations. Trump faced numerous investigations during his presidency, including into possible ties between his campaign and Russia's interference in the 2016 election. A special counsel investigation found that Russia interfered to help Trump, but no conspiracy was found between his campaign and Russia. Impeachments. Trump was impeached twice by the House of Representatives. The first impeachment was related to his actions in pressuring Ukraine to investigate Joe Biden. The second impeachment was after the January 6th Capitol riot, where he was charged with inciting an insurrection. He was acquitted by the Senate both times. 2020 presidential election. Trump's campaign, Donald Trump, filed to run for re-election shortly after becoming president in 2017. His first rally for re-election was just a month after he took office, and he officially became the Republican nominee in August 2020. Trump's campaign focused on crime, claiming that cities would become lawless if Joe Biden won. He often misrepresented Biden's positions and made racist appeals. Starting in early 2020, Trump spread doubts about the election, claiming it would be rigged and that mail voting would lead to widespread fraud. He also blocked funding for the U.S. Postal Service, saying it would reduce mail voting. Trump refused to say whether he would accept the results if he lost or commit to a peaceful transfer of power. Biden wins and Trump rejects the results. Biden won the election in November 2020 with 81.3 million votes, 51.3%, compared to Trump's 74.2 million, 46.8%, and 306 electoral votes to Trump's 232. The Electoral College confirmed Biden's victory on December 14th. Before the results were fully known, Trump declared victory. After Biden was projected to win, Trump falsely claimed there was election fraud. Trump and his supporters filed many legal challenges, but at least 86 judges rejected them for lacking evidence. Election officials also refuted Trump's claims, and the Supreme Court declined to hear a case to overturn the results. Trump tried to get help from Republican officials, state lawmakers, the Justice Department, and Vice President Pence to change the results. In the weeks following the election, Trump withdrew from public life. He initially blocked officials from helping with Biden's transition, but eventually allowed resources to be given to Biden's team. However, Trump never formally conceded and did not attend Biden's inauguration. January 6th, Capitol attack. In December 2020, reports said that military leaders were concerned Trump might try to use the military to stay in power or start military action with China or Iran. On January 6, 2021, while Congress was certifying the election results at the U.S. Capitol, Trump held a rally where he urged his supporters to fight like hell and take back our country by marching to the Capitol. A mob of Trump supporters broke into the Capitol, disrupting the certification and forcing Congress to evacuate. During the attack, Trump posted on social media but did not tell the rioters to stop until 6 p.m. when he tweeted for them to go home with love and in peace. He called them great patriots and repeated that he had won the election. Congress resumed their work and confirmed Biden's victory early on January 7th. Over 140 police officers were injured, and 5 people died during or after the attack. The event is seen as an attempted coup by Trump. Between terms, 2021 to 2025. After leaving the White House, Donald Trump moved to Mar-a-Lago and set up an office there, as allowed by the Former President's Act. He continued to spread false claims about the 2020 election, which critics called the big lie. In May 2021, he and his supporters began calling the 2020 election itself the big lie. Trump's false election claims were used by the Republican Party to justify new voting laws that favored them. As of 2022, he was still trying to get state lawmakers to change the election results. Unlike other former presidents, Trump remained very influential in the Republican Party. A 2022 report described him as a powerful party leader. He raised a large amount of money, more than the Republican Party itself, and used Mar-a-Lago for fundraising events for Republican candidates. Trump focused on gaining control over party leadership by placing his loyalists in key positions. In the 2022 midterm elections, he endorsed over 200 candidates. In February 2021, Trump started a new company called Trump Media and Technology Group, which planned to offer social networking services. In March 2024, TMTG merged with a company called Digital World Acquisition and became public. In February 2022, TMTG launched a new social media platform called Truth Social. Trump also faced multiple legal issues. In 2019, E. Jean Carroll accused him of raping her in the 1990s and sued him for defamation after he denied it. Carroll sued him again in 2022 for battery and more defamation. He was found guilty of sexual abuse and defamation in 2 cases, and he was ordered to pay millions of dollars in damages. In 2022, New York filed a civil lawsuit against Trump, accusing him of inflating the Trump Organization's value to get better deals with banks. He was found liable and ordered to pay $350 million plus interest. Classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago. Trump faced legal troubles connected to his efforts to change the 2020 election results and the January 6th attack. In December 2022, a U.S. House committee recommended criminal charges against him for trying to block the election results, conspiracy, and encouraging an insurrection. In August 2023, he was indicted on 13 charges in Georgia for trying to change the election results there. In January 2022, the National Archives and Records Administration took 15 boxes of documents from Mar-a-Lago, including some that were classified. Later, more classified documents were found. On August 8, 2022, FBI agents searched Mar-a-Lago and found 11 sets of classified documents, some marked top secret. In June 2023, a federal grand jury indicted Trump on 31 counts for keeping national defense information and other charges. Trump pleaded not guilty. In July 2024, a judge dismissed the case, saying the special prosecutor's appointment was unconstitutional. Other legal issues. In May 2024, Trump was found guilty of falsifying business records in a case about hush money payments made during the 2016 election. These payments were made to cover up an affair with adult film actress Stormy Daniels. He was convicted on 34 felony counts, but on January 10, 2025, the judge gave Trump a no-penalty sentence called an unconditional discharge, saying that punishment would interfere with his presidential immunity. After Trump was re-elected, the cases about the 2020 election and the classified documents were dropped, following the Justice Department policy that sitting presidents can't be prosecuted. 2024 presidential election. In November 2022, Donald Trump announced he would run for president again in 2024 and set up a fundraising account. By March 2023, his campaign started using 10% of the donations for his leadership PAC, and by March 2024, his campaign had spent $100 million on his legal bills. In December 2023, the Colorado Supreme Court ruled that Trump could not run in the Colorado Republican primary because of his role in the January 6, 2021, attack on Congress. However, in March 2024, the U.S. Supreme Court decided that Colorado could not stop him from being on the ballot, saying the state did not have the authority to prevent insurrectionists from holding office. During his campaign, Trump made more aggressive and extreme statements. He said he would use the FBI and Justice Department against his political opponents and use the military to target Democratic politicians and people who did not support him. He also used stronger anti-immigrant language than he did during his presidency. His language was described as authoritarian and unlike anything seen from a political candidate in U.S. history. Concerns about his age and health also came up during the campaign, with some experts pointing out his rambling speech and unusual behavior. Trump often mentioned rigged elections and election interference, even more than in his previous campaigns. He refused to say whether he would accept the 2024 election results, which analysts saw as an intensification of his strategy to claim he only loses if the election is cheated. On July 13, 2024, Trump was shot in the ear during an assassination attempt at a rally in Butler Township, Pennsylvania. 2 days later, the 2024 Republican National Convention nominated him for president, with Senator J.D. Vance as his running mate. In September, there was another assassination attempt on him in Florida. In November 2024, Trump won the election with 312 electoral votes, beating Vice President Kamala Harris, who received 226 electoral votes. This made Trump the second president in U.S. history, after Grover Cleveland, to be elected to a non-consecutive second term. Trump also won the popular vote, getting 49.8% compared to Harris's 48.3%. His victory was seen as part of a global backlash against current leaders, partly due to inflation during 2021 to 2023. Many news outlets called his re-election an incredible comeback. Second presidency, 2025 to present. Trump became president again on January 20th, 2025. He was the oldest person ever to become president and the first to have a felony conviction while in office. Early actions, 2025 to present. Once he took office, Trump signed many executive orders, testing the power of the president. He signed more orders on his first day than any president before him. By March 2024, nearly two-thirds of his actions followed plans he had proposed in Project 2025. He also pardoned around 1,500 people involved in the January 6, 2021 attack, including those who attacked police. Trump's actions were challenged by legal experts, who said they violated laws or the Constitution. Mass terminations of federal workers. Trump froze hiring for federal workers and ordered that teleworking end within 30 days. He started reviewing government jobs to make them at-will positions without job protections. He fired more than 30,000 federal workers and replaced them with people loyal to him. Trump also stopped diversity programs in the government and put employees involved in these programs on leave. Domestic Policy, 2025 to present. Trump appointed people from the oil and gas industry to the EPA to reverse environmental rules. He declared a national energy emergency, suspended some environmental rules, and rejoined the push for fossil fuel extraction while limiting renewable energy projects. Trump also took steps to withdraw the U.S. from the Paris Agreement on climate change. Trump blamed diversity programs and wokeness for problems in the government and society. He rolled back policies that promoted diversity and took strong actions against gender ideology. These included banning transgender people from the military, stopping funding for gender-affirming care for those under 19, and preventing transgender women from competing in women's sports. Immigration, 2025 to present. Trump quickly moved to deport more migrants crossing the border, ended the CBP-1 app for scheduling border crossings, and restarted the construction of a border wall. He set high deportation goals but fell short of them. He focused deportation efforts on criminals and sanctuary cities. Trump also tried to end birthright citizenship and suspend the refugee admissions program. Foreign Policy, 2025 to present. Trump's foreign policy was seen as both imperialist and isolationist. He treated allies indifferently or even hostilely and threatened to annex certain regions. He stopped funding the World Health Organization, WHO, and withdrew the U.S. from it. Trump also imposed tariffs on China, Canada, and Mexico. In his first days, Trump and his administration helped broker a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas. He also worked with Russia to try to end the war in Ukraine, without involving Ukraine's representatives in the talks. Personnel, 2025 to present. Trump picked many cabinet members who were personally loyal to him, even if they didn't have much experience. In February 2025, it was announced that Elon Musk would be a special government employee, and Musk's teams were given access to several federal agencies. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Your support really helps us grow and brings you more awesome videos. Also, feel free to drop a comment below and let us know what you'd like to see next. See you in the next one.